Hi, everyone, and welcome to Healthy Conversations. On Healthy Conversation today, I am going to answer one of your questions that you sent in for Ask Eliza. If you are not familiar with Ask Eliza, it's on my newsletter. If you want to submit a question to me, make sure that you get on my email list. I email about once a week on Thursdays with different topics and things, and I give you the opportunity to submit a question that I will answer somewhat similar in a format like this. So make sure you are on my email list if you are not already. So today's question came from one of you, and I'm going to paraphrase because it was a little long, but essentially, the long short of it is I've heard so much nonsense, use the word nonsense, right? Nonsense in the industry about good foods and bad foods and how we're not supposed to label foods good and bad. But are there really no good foods and bad foods? What are your thoughts about this? I edited some pieces of it out. We got the gist of it. So this one is fascinating to me and near and dear to my heart. This whole concept of, do we label foods good or bad? And is there such thing as a good foods and bad foods? And why is it bad to do that? And what's the harm and all this stuff? So let me just hopefully try and simply give you my answer to this. If you know me, there's always context, there's always nuance. So I'm going to try and keep it as simple as possible. But in reality, if we are looking at the answer is it depends, right? Like, and that's the answer that nobody likes. But let's say if you are on my email list, it's likely that you have a desire for a different shape or size, or that was part of your journey at some point. You just like kind of following along, right? So we're talking about weight loss in particular, or if we're talking about adiposity, which is fat on your body, and you have a desire for something different. Okay, you know that that's welcome here in my community, and the truth is, if you have a desire for a different adiposity or weight, shape, and size, then there is a certain amount of food, certainly, there's a certain amount of food that will bring you closer to or further away from your desired outcome, right? There are certain types of food that will make it more difficult for you to consume a certain amount of food. And like we said, the amount of food will take you closer to or further away from your desired outcome. Okay. Now, I realize I'm talking a little bit in code, but essentially what I'm saying is if you have a desire to change your weight, shape, or size, then the the basic foundational principle remains. We can't eat in excess of our body's nutritional needs and not gain weight. Okay. That's just what is, right? We don't label that good or bad. It's not good food or bad food. It just is. If I'm eating in excess of my body's nutritional needs, then I'm going to change something, whether it's gain weight or gain fat and adiposity. Okay. Now, when I said there are certain types of food that make it harder to eat a certain amount of food, what I really mean is ultra processed foods and certain types of food interact with mechanisms in our brain that make it hard to not overeat. It makes it hard to not have cravings, makes it hard to not overeat. So some people recognize this with sugar. When they start eating sugar, it's hard to stop eating sugar. Does that mean sugar is bad? No, it just is in that when you start eating it, for some people, it's harder to stop eating it. I wouldn't label that good or bad. I would just label it what it is, right? If you've been with me for any period of time, or if you've ever taken any of my courses, you'll hear me talk about my past relationship with goldfish. When I would eat goldfish, it, I could feel that it was difficult for me to stop eating when I wanted to, because they're ultra processed foods hit different mechanisms in the brain that just make it more difficult for us to stop. Are goldfish bad? Nope. Are they good? Nope. They just are. It's just harder for me to stop eating them. So I don't. So some might argue that I'm saying goldfish are bad and I don't eat them because I choose not to, because they don't serve me, right? And so when people ask me this question about are there good foods and bad foods and how do you feel about that? I say we're asking the wrong question. The question is it serving you, right? Does it take you closer to or further away from what you want to feel, what you want your results to be, what you want your body composition to be, whatever your goals are, right? Maybe you just want to feel peaceful around food. And when you start eating sugar, you don't feel so peaceful. So is sugar good or bad? Good question. The right question is, do I feel what I want to feel when I eat it? Nope. Well, then maybe it doesn't serve you. Let's say you want to lose weight and you start eating goldfish. And then when you eat them, it's harder for you to stop. Are goldfish good or bad? Oh, wrong question. The right question is, I have a desire to lose weight. When I eat goldfish, does it take me closer to or further away from that desire? Well, it takes me further away because it's hard for me to stop eating them. Then I end up overeating them. I don't feel so good. Great. They're not serving you. So maybe you choose not to. You can see where I'm going with this here is that not only when we label all food groups good and bad, it's not actually giving us that much information. It's not very useful. What's useful is to run it through our own goals, what we'd like to feel, what we're trying to accomplish, what we want, right? I'll give you another example. Some of you may know this. There's an ice cream bar. Sorry for anybody who likes ice cream bars. There's an ice cream bar. It's called Magnum Mini. And I eat one of those most nights because I really, really like them. And when my husband has accidentally brought home the regular size, right, that are the big ones, I don't like it as much. It's a little too much ice cream for me. It pushes me over that point of where I say, ooh, this is really good and I'm enjoying it. It's too much. That doesn't serve me. But the mini, I like it. Feels good. Feels like just enough, not too much, right? So is it good for me? Is it bad for me? There is somebody that would say, well, that's really bad. It's got sugar in it and it's processed. And I would say, bad for whom? And for what purpose? And in what context, you know? And so the takeaway here is instead of asking, is food good or bad? We want to be asking things like this. Is it serving me? Only you can answer that because only you know how it feels after you eat it, right? Is it taking me closer to or further away the thing that I want to feel? Whether that's weight loss or body shape and size or just feeling at ease around food? Does it take me closer to that or further away from that? If the answer is it takes me further away, then you get to decide. Is this something I want to continue doing? Or maybe should I say, no thanks, based on the fact that it doesn't make me feel good and it doesn't take me closer to what I want. That's how I make my decisions around food. So it's less about good or bad, right or wrong. And certainly there's no moral attachment to food. It's just, what are we looking to accomplish? And do I get there by doing that or not? All right. Hope that was helpful for you and that it answered your question. I will see you next week for more healthy conversations.